And you got to treat this like it's a once-in-a-lifetime, seeing my team. I don't think it will be for Heupel. I think he's a good enough coach to get back there. But you got to treat this like it's a once-in-a-lifetime.
They're all trying to go. So our buddy Mike Mondelli, his dad and uncle played at Tennessee. He played at Swanee, but huge Tennessee guy. And he's trying to find 6. I put him in touch with Dan and Steve at 8-6. And like everybody I've talked to on the Tennessee side, they're going to that game.
I hope they take the stadium over. That'd be awesome.
Ross Bjork says that the concern is, and he pointed to Georgia at Notre Dame a few years ago. Yep. He says, just go look what SEC fans. I was an AD there at 2 schools.
That's right.
Look what SEC fans can do. Don't sell your tickets. It's already becoming a problem.
That was embarrassing for Notre Dame. Georgia had it felt
it'll be more embarrassing in a playoff.
I want to say this: if you are in the camp that Ryan Day's got to win the whole thing or he's out, then you need to be all in as well. Don't sell your tickets.
Yeah. You should have said that on ESPN Radio in Columbus.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. That's the show today from the Floribama. We appreciate you guys being with us. We ran a little long, but you guys are okay with that. We are back tomorrow at 12 noon Central Time here for a specialty show, Army-Navy. If you ever get a chance in town, come by and watch Army-Navy with the great active military personnel and those that served our great country. It is a special event to watch them watch the game. And it'll be fun here at the Floribama all weekend long. Until next time, God bless you and God bless America.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Take TNR on the go with a podcast built for your satisfaction. Miss Hour 1? Find it in podcast form. Miss Hour 2? Stream it now. Miss Hour 3? Download it for later. Miss Hour 4? Well, just know it's never coming back. Listen to TNR wherever you find podcasts.
Happy football season. At the Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant-Denny or Jordan Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com. Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Hang out with the Next Round on the go. Whether you're driving to work, running errands, sitting on the beach, or you just need a break from the real world, we can keep you company. Check out the Next Round, Mystery Fifth Hour, and our other shows on your favorite podcast app. We'll meet you there.
Follow LT on Twitter at @TheLanceTaylor. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Two's the magic number today as we get started. A couple of historic stats to give you from the National Football League. 2 Monday night games coming up. 2 big wins in college basketball in our state over the weekend. And we'll start with a couple of major transfer portal news, and we'll go back to Auburn, where Jackson Arnold landed as the quarterback, likely QB1. Won't assume anything. Portal will still be open, and Hugh Freeze is spending some money. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, Forrester and Tyler behind the big glass, Taylor Corn, EG, working on the social media platform and everything else for you. Man, we reacted to this Saturday from the floor of Bama on our Army-Navy show because this came out Saturday morning. Jackson Arnold in line to be QB1 at Auburn.
Look, if I'm an Auburn fan, super excited about this. Kid turned 20 back in September, and really, I mean, he was fighting an uphill battle all year long. 8 different offensive line combinations, top 5 receivers, week in, week out were hurt. He was sacked 42 times, I think it was. And this is a guy that, out of Denton, Texas, was the number 1 Texas player coming out, according to 24/7, in 2023. He was a number 10 prospect overall. He's a consensus top 5 guy. You look at his athletic ability. Over his last 5 games, he averaged 67 rushing yards. If you're an Alabama fan, you remember him well. He ran all over Alabama. He just hadn't had a fighting shot to throw the football, but now he'll get that opportunity against what I would believe. I mean, if Auburn's offensive line is anything like Oklahoma's next year, they're in trouble.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is you hope if you're an Auburn fan that the reason you've never seen 5-star Jackson Arnold is because of receiver injuries and offensive line. That's your hope, right? And now Auburn's offensive line wasn't great this year. They're going to address that, I think, through the portal as well. I think
they picked up one guy already from Virginia Tech, tackle Xavier Chaplain, who has come in.
Yeah, so that's going to be key for Auburn because – I mean, again, if you don't have offensive line, you can have the best quarterback in the country back there. He's not going to be entirely effective. So that's your hope if you're Auburn, is that you haven't seen the best of Jackson Arnold yet because Jackson Arnold hasn't been able to play his best because of what's around him. Your fear would be, I mean, if you want to look at the negative, is that this kid's a bust. And he was a bust, and he lost his job at Oklahoma, and he got it back on a bad offense. I don't think that's the case, but
I don't know who can call him a bust. I really don't.
Well, I mean,
the guy hasn't thrown. I know he lost his starting job.
Right.
A lot of guys did, and I think they were just looking for a spark. And Brent Venables trying to figure out what they were going to do. Let's not forget, his offensive coordinator got fired mid-season.
That's right.
I mean, there was a lot of things going on this year in Norman, and the transition obviously was not nearly what you got from Texas coming into the SEC. But I don't know how you can say this kid's a bust. He hadn't thrown a interception since September.
I would say not only was his offensive coordinator fired in season, that Seth Littrell also was a little different in what he was supposed to be calling, as opposed to Jeff Levy, who was the guy that recruited Jackson Arnold and had Jackson Arnold propped up that first year with Dylan Gabriel when Arnold was the backup. Levy left to go be the head coach at Mississippi State. So basically, he had 3 offensive coordinators in 2 years, if you count the interim one at the end of the year. So he's had a lot of change early on there. I would say his stock looks even lower because, I think Brent Venables made a young head coaching mistake in benching him when he did. Taking him out in the Tennessee game is one thing. Him not starting for that period of time was a mistake by Brent Venables, my opinion. And the other thing is that the guy who Oklahoma chose him over, Dylan Gabriel, is having such a good year at Oregon. I think both of those brought attention to the lackluster year Jackson Arnold had. So I think his stock is even lower than it probably should be because of those 2 factors.
Well, and I think it's also lower, Brown, because of maybe where he went, just because Auburn's been kind of off the radar. I mean, if Jackson Arnold would have gone to Oregon and been paired with Will Stein after what you saw the last couple of years from both Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel, if he would have gone to USC to go play for Lincoln Riley, people be like, damn, watch out. So it's almost a perfect marriage because I think it's a little off the radar, which is probably good for Jackson Arnold as well.
Yeah. I mean, he and Hugh Freeze have something in common. They probably are at Auburn because of their success against Alabama. Hugh Freeze has 2 wins against Alabama, and that was a big selling point in him as a head coach. that he beat Nick Saban twice, and Jackson Arnold spanked Alabama this year in a game that actually cost Alabama the college football playoffs. I mean, those are two good calling cards when you're applying for a job at Auburn.
Yeah, I believe that more about Hugh Freeze than I do Jackson Arnold.
The guy has a 5-star resume.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's got a lot more than a win over Alabama one night. What's
his last impression you have of him as the Oklahoma quarterback?
Well, the Alabama win, because that's what I watched.
Prime time, national television, eliminating Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, how many passes did he throw in that game?
He didn't.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't
think anybody looks at that game as like, that's the guy I want to be quarterback. I think you're betting on what everybody thought the guy was coming out of high school, which is the Gatorade National Player of the Year and a 5-star.
Well, don't get caught up that it was Alabama. It was, at that point, a team that was locked in the playoffs, and he beat, if it had been Tennessee, if it had been Georgia with Herbstreit and Fowler on the call, I think it would have been the same thing. This guy had a big major win at the end of the college football season in prime time.
But, I think for young receivers like Cam Coleman and Malcolm Simmons and Perry Thompson, this is what you want to get those guys excited. I don't think there was a lot of excitement with this offense. It came on a little at the end of the year, but, they had to fix quarterback. It was Hugh has got to do something in the portal, and to me, I think he got the best available portal quarterback out there.
Now, that quarterback room changed almost instantly. You had Deuce Knight, who was the MVP of the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star game. He passes for almost 200 yards. He rushes for almost 200 yards, the old dual-threat quarterback that you expect him to be whenever he takes over control of the Auburn offense. And then you had Walker White, the highly recruited kid that was going to be part of the depth of that room. He instantly announces in the portal. Now, if you follow Auburn and you follow Walker White, there's a story behind the scenes of what's going on with his mom and their personal life. This may have happened separate of Jackson Arnold, separate of anything going on because of her health. He may be wanting to get back closer to home.
Yeah, but it caught Auburn by surprise. They weren't expecting this one. So much so that shortly after Jackson Arnold dropped his announcement, Auburn dropped a graphic showing the level at which Deuce Knight, Walker White, and Jackson Arnold were recruited, their star rating as they were recruited, and noted that it was the highest rated quarterback room in Auburn football history. And shortly thereafter, White hits the portal, and they have to take that down. So that caught Auburn a little flat-footed right there. And the other side of this story is Auburn is now in a bind in their quarterback room. They have got to find some other bodies. They don't have enough bodies in their quarterback room. And that is not going to be terribly easy, I don't think.
Well, you brought up a couple of times on Friday's show and Saturday that they likely were already going to look for QB1 and QB2.
Yeah. I didn't think there was any doubt they were looking for two quarterbacks out of the portal. And now it's going to be more than that because of the Walker White transfer. They were 100% going to get two quarterbacks already out of the portal. Jackson Arnold was only the first one.
Hank Brown is now at Iowa.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see where Walker White ends up. As we always tell you, you should know this, have it memorized by now, like the overtime rules. Just because players enter the portal doesn't mean they necessarily will leave the school, though it happens that way most of the time.
Yeah. I would just say if you've got to get two out of the portal, it becomes a little tricky because you're convincing a guy to come be depth.
How many quarterback situations right now in the SEC going into the season that we know about do you feel better about than Auburn's?
Oh, let's take some time to think.
Yeah. Let's get.
I can do it.
That's a big picture topic.
I need to think first.
Yeah, a lot to get to on the show today. Being brought to you by some great folks, including our friends at Hemp Hill that bring you Lance's Lock. Lance'sLock.com. As I said, a couple of Monday night games tonight.
Yeah, we do have Monday Night Football up for you. Jump on board, college hoops, the NBA. Winning night Friday, winning night Saturday, 1-2 yesterday. A little disappointing. Jameis Winston absolutely killed us yesterday. Lance'sLock.com for all the bowl winners, college football playoffs, everything coming up. It's always brought to you by our friends at Hemp Hill Services. Trust the name. Birmingham has trusted since 1954. For all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling issues, if any of these arise in your home or business, they are ready to serve you. 205-229-2090. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there. For more information, hemphillservices.com.
Hey, if you're looking for a great place for a company meeting, just a fun outing, couple shower, something like that, the Golfus is the place to go. Stay out of the office. Stay in the Golfus. It's always 70 degrees in the Golfus. The rain is never falling. The wind is never blowing. It's Birmingham's best golf simulators. Right now, open on Highway 31 in Vestavia. You can also find them on 280 and in Trussville. By the way, it's a perfect gift for the golfer on your list. Gift certificates are digital. They can be scheduled to arrive either in the mail or email, probably. Let's do email. On Christmas Day, they can mail it if you like, but it's so easy to show up on Christmas Day, any dollar amount you want. Book your bay now. See everything you can. TheGolfist.com. Stay out of the office. Go to the Golfist. TheGolfist.com.
You can't say anything bad about SEC basketball right now. They were the conference was 13-1 Saturday, with a lot of marquee games again, including Florida beating Arizona State, Texas A&M beating Purdue, Oklahoma beating Oklahoma State, Kentucky sneaking one out against Louisville in a big rivalry game there at Rupp, Alabama beating Creighton, and Auburn dominating Ohio State. 13-1 in the SEC. The SEC is now off to a 143-20 start as a conference in college basketball, and the guys at Field of 68 says this is the most dominant conference they've seen top to bottom, that you'd have to go back to mid-90s ACC to find something this dominant. That's saying a lot. We'll talk about Auburn and Alabama's game specifically, but just give me an overall thought on what the SEC has done so far.
They have been dominant. This is what we've seen from the SEC in football for years. Now you're getting it on the hard court, and I saw this number, and I took a screenshot of it yesterday because I don't even know who this is. And I'm just going to believe these numbers based on what you said.
Well, who is it? I'll tell you if you can believe it.
Well, Bear Bryant's burner is the one that retweeted it.
Yeah.
28-4 versus the ACC, the SEC.
All right.
14-2 against the Big 12. 9-7 versus the Big 10, and 5-4 versus the Big East.
I mean, that's what's the Big East doing? 5-4. That's pretty good.
Yeah, 9-7 Big 10 shocks me.
Yeah.
I mean, 28-4 versus the ACC and 14-2 versus the Big 12. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, and that's the Big 12 really sticks out, right? Because that is that's what's crazy. In the ACC, we saw the ACC-SEC challenge and how they dominated that. We'll talk Auburn and Alabama because both of their resumes are really, really good. And, Auburn should be number one today in the meaningless AP poll that comes out. They'll at least be number two if Tennessee's not number one. Give me a thought on the SEC before we talk Auburn, Alabama specifically.
Joe Lunardi, the original bracketologist, said this weekend it is the best pre-conference performance based on his metrics in the history of college basketball. By one conference, the best pre-conference schedule performance, best non-conference in the history of college basketball based on his numbers.
Well, Auburn,
that's pretty crazy to think
Auburn's
about.
beaten. They got 5 quad 1 wins, and they're 9-1 against that massive schedule. Alabama went 5-2 in that 7-game stretch. Just Alabama and Auburn, their metrics against their 2 tough schedules have been so impressive. Let's talk about Auburn here. First of all, before we get into the game, congratulations to assistant head coach Stephen Pearl and his wife on the birth of their baby. So Stephen, before the game early on Saturday, they give birth to their first child, and then they all get to go watch a couple of Auburn Tigers graduate. Bruce Pearl talked about this after the win over Ohio State on Stephen in the big edition. I guess Bruce is a grandfather. Here we go.
Today was a challenge because Stephen Pearl had the scout. He also is our defensive coordinator. So, this morning he left the hotel last night about 2:00 in the morning and drove to Auburn to be with his wife. And he got there about a half hour later. She had Laney Marie. So we've got great things to celebrate. And Brittany and Laney are both healthy. And when I get back to Auburn, I got to watch Chaney Johnson and Janai Broom walk and graduate and receive their degrees. And then I got to go over there and be with my family and try to get ready for Georgia State.
Yeah, so a busy day in the Pearl household. Oh, yeah, and by the way, they happened to, Janai Broom took Ohio State to class and then went and got his degree later today. Janai Broom, 21 points, 20 rebounds, 6 assists in 26 minutes against the, I think Brown told me it was the Ken Pom number 28 team in the country.
Yeah, at that time.
Going into the game. 21 points, 20 rebounds, 6 assists, and then he goes and gets his diploma in 26 minutes of play. Right now, according to anyone who's watching, the player of the year in college basketball.
Oh, I think he's got to be right now. And look, the first Auburn player with the 2020, it was a career high for him, his first 2020. But obviously, with me saying that, who do you think the last Auburn Tiger? I read this, and I don't remember the guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
it's not going to be
Charles Barkley.
It's not going to be Barkley. It's not going to be.
Well, Barkley probably did. This is 1989.
Okay, who was it?
Kelvin Artister.
Okay.
Yeah, don't
Don't remember old Kelvin Artister.
I mean, Forrester from the back row. Do you
Yeah.
remember Kelvin Artister?
I do not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last Auburn Tiger with a 2020 back in '89.
Well, you would think I would remember a guy that was good enough to have 2020.
But I mean, there's a reason that Auburn 49-28 outboarded the Buckeyes, and I mean, up by 44 in that game.
Yeah, and
that's crazy.
It was crazy because I was excited to listen/watch it on the drive back from the Floribama on the way to Tuscaloosa for the game, and by the time I got in the car, it was a blowout.
Oh, I know. I was the same way. It was 51-21, I think, when we got in the car.
Yeah, I turned on the Auburn network, and Andy's giving his halftime, and it's just an insane output from Auburn right now. And I wanted to say this, Brownie, real quick. For Janai Broome, he's got 3 games this year of 20 or more points, 15 or more rebounds, 5 or more assists, and 3 or more blocks in a game. He's got 3 this year. No Division I player in the last 20 years have had that in their career, according to Field of 68.
I mean, that says all you needed to say, I guess, right?
Yeah, and he's got 3 of them in this year.
Yeah, in the offseason, I said often, and I'm going to make a confession here. I said often that I think in the state of Alabama, you've got, if not the 2 leading candidates for the Naismith Player of the Year, 2 guys that are definitely going to factor in Mark Sears and Janai Broome. Now, here's where I'm honest. I honestly thought Sears had the better shot at it, even on a loaded Alabama roster. Not that Auburn's roster isn't loaded, but I say a loaded Alabama roster because when you looked at that Alabama roster, you thought maybe they're going to ask less of Mark Sears. Like his numbers year to year might drop a little bit, and they probably are going to, right? But I thought Sears was the guy that had the better shot at the Naismith Player of the Year. I was incorrect on that. It is Janai Broome.
Yeah, because he's filling up so many columns.
Yeah, if you gave it away in December, he probably wins the thing. Now, can he do that through conference play and finish the deal? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But it is insane to start. But I thought both those guys could factor into it, but I honestly thought Sears would probably, of those 2, be your favorite.
Okay, now I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound crazy. Janai Broome, Player of the Year numbers right now, and it may be the 3rd most impressive thing that this Auburn team is doing right now. Second is their 5 quad 1 wins. You go look at anybody else who's got 5 quad 1s like Auburn does. I don't know if you'll find one, but 5 quad 1 wins. But to me, the most impressive thing about this Auburn basketball team right now is their team defense. It's unbelievable. It is smothering teams. Ohio State, known for shooting threes. Keep that in mind when Alabama and Auburn played twice this year. Known for shooting threes. They only got 16 three-point shots up in the game. Only 11 up when the game mattered before it was a total blowout. And they were 6 of 16 there. Their defense, team defense, is what really is setting this team apart for me. And there's 2 minutes left in a blowout game if you're watching the end of that game. And they're still diving for loose balls and stuff. That's
well, I mean, the only time the defense really has let up was against Iowa State. They ended up winning the game 83-81, and then the game they lost in Cameron Indoor last week 84-78. Outside of that, defense has been lights out.
Yeah. There is only one other team. Auburn is 5-1 in quad 1, and there is only one other team that is there. And I don't know if we thought they would be there or not. I can't remember. You'd have to go back to Huntsville several weeks ago.
Memphis?
To tell me if you thought Memphis could be 5-1 in quad 1 wins, because that's where they are. Yeah. That's the only other team that is 5-1. Most teams barely played 5.
That's right.
And Auburn's 5-1.
Well, I assume Memphis is going to be ranked today, right?
Yeah. Where's Alabama in the quad
3-2. I mean, they've at least played 5. I'm saying that's better than a lot of teams.
We'll get to Alabama and their big win over Creighton at home. In just a second after we tell you about a couple of our great sponsors. One of them is our friend at A+, the folks that made Brown's house quad 1.
A+ Tile Home Remodeling. Listen, when it came time to redo the master bath, my wife Jennifer Brown scoured the internet looking for the best person for the job. We wanted it done right. She talked to a ton of contractors. She read a bunch of reviews. She talked to people that had used certain contractors, and she just kept coming back to Brad Bell, A-plus Bath and Kitchen. And I'm glad we did, man. Brad did tremendous work. Scott's showing you some before and afters. You can see a lot more before and afters of jobs other than mine or Lance's at aplusbathandkitchen.com. That's their website, aplusbathandkitchen.com. Now, what Brad specializes in is master bath, kitchen, and master bedroom closets. That's not to say it's all he does, but it is his specialty, and it's where you'll get your money back when you go to sell your home. Master bath, kitchen, and master bedroom closets. If it's time to redo anything in your home, Brad Bell is your call. 205-422-1758. 205-422-1758, aplusbathandkitchen.com.
And our friends, DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com, The Legend, a tribute to Coach Nick Saban and his 6 national championships. You can get that for the holiday season or maybe a gift for 2025 and a special occasion coming up. You just go to that website to order it, DanielMooreArt.com. There's a look at the painting there. Also, you can pre-order the Deuces Wild on there from a big Georgia win earlier this year, and pick up the 2025 calendar, which is a great stocking stuffer. Still time to do that. DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com, coupon code TNR for 20% off with our friends at DanielMooreArt.com. Now, little T and I are in Tuscaloosa for the big Creighton and Alabama game. The Tide gets a win. My first takeaway from this game is that Mark Sears finally looked like himself. This was a signature Mark Sears game. 27, got to the basket well, drew contact and made buckets well. Really good at doing that. He finally looked like the Mark Sears that led Alabama to the Final Four last year. Here is Nate Oates after the game talking about the Mark Sears everyone's been waiting to see finally showing up.
Mark had his best shooting night since the season opener, and then he was also really aggressive driving to the rim tonight. Do you just feel like tonight was kind of a game where he got back to doing what he does best?
Yeah, I hope so, because I'll say this. He'd been outstanding in practice, literally leading into the Carolina game, and since the Carolina game, I think he's been really good, been locked in, practicing hard. He ended up leading to some blue-collar points, got the hard hat tonight. I thought his effort was good. I don't think it's any coincidence that I felt like we tell our guys, just lose yourself in a game. He got really locked into just playing hard, playing the right way, doing the right things, and now all of a sudden he's got his best shooting nights, highest scoring output. He's getting to the rim. He makes free throws. He just lost himself in the game tonight, playing the right way, and I thought he was really good. This is the best game we've seen out of him since the season started. Hopefully this kind of gets him going here.
Yeah, he did get going with the 27. And Alabama led 17 at one point in the first half, and then they had about a 10-minute spell there where they couldn't do anything, and it got cut to 6. And it was Alabama never looked like they were going to lose the game, but it kept being interesting all the way till the end.
Yeah, I was actually in a car coming back from the Floribama, so I was just checking scores nonstop and had Alabama minus the 11.5. But, they needed Sears in his 27 because he was the only Alabama player that hit more than 1 3. Alabama was awful, 6 of 30, 20% behind the arc.
I would tell you during that spell in the first half, I really thought they were going to have to stop the game, come out and change the rim at the end Alabama was shooting at. They were killing the front of the rim. Every three-pointer was like this far short, like it was dead center, hitting the orange, hard, non-forgiving front of the rim.
Yeah, and back to what he said about Sears, the last 5 games they played against Houston, Rutgers, Oregon, North Carolina, and Creighton, he scored 20-plus in 4 of the 5 games. The only game that he really struggled was against Oregon.
But he didn't look himself in scoring those numbers, and he's done that the other last in the game against Creighton on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, even some of the, like Houston 4 of 13, Rutgers 7 of 19, he struggled to get to that number. Much easier the 8 of 15 against Creighton and 4 of 7 behind the arc.
Kalkbrenner's 18-7 did not impress you.
Oh, it did not. I've told you guys off the air, and I'll say it on the air right here. I would not want that 7'1" guy, 7'2" guy on my team. He is a waste of airspace on defense. He Lance,
you are crazy. He might have had a bad game. I've watched him a lot. He's a good player.
The guy, he didn't get a foul, I don't think, until deep into the second half, it felt like.
Jimmy Buckets doesn't have him even in his second round mock draft.
I would tell. I don't think he would make the team at either place.
You don't
Auburn or Alabama.
You would make the team at Bama or Auburn.
I don't think so. The guy doesn't. He didn't contest the ball at the rim. If you're that big and you don't draw a foul,
don't say that out loud again.
He didn't. He did not contest Alabama.
No, I'm saying don't say that he would not be on the roster for. He would start for both.
He would not. No, they would say we're not wasting our NIL money on you. Goodbye.
You think he's better? You think Amore is better right now? There are a lot of people that have been a bit disappointed with Amore.
I like Sherelle off the bench.
Okay, so you think he's better?
He's a big body guy who's sort of learning on the job. But Amore, 25 minutes took him to, not offensively, but
I think Amore had 8.
Yeah, but he shut him down and held him to 18.
Yeah,
and some of that was early on. Alabama fans if you were at the game or you watched it, but if you were at the game, you really could tell. I mean, he'd be right near the rim, and the Bama guards would be driving, and he'd almost back up on Amore to keep the pass from going to and let Mark or Philon finish at the rim. How are you 7-1 letting them finish at the rim? Alabama had 44 paint points. They beat Creighton in paint points.
The last 2 years, he's averaged over 3 blocks per game.
That's the last 2 years. I'm
talking about this year included.
He didn't do it the other night. I don't know.
Do you respect the Big East?
I do.
You just said that record against the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, he was the Big East Conference Player of the Year, preseason Player of the Year.
Preseason, the media gets it wrong all the time.
Well, I mean, he's averaging 17 and 8. That's pretty good.
Yeah, he didn't the other night. Well, I mean, he's 18 and 7. Paper numbers in my eyes.
Krusty says he's slow and look exhausted during the game. That's what he says to the MyBookie.ag. He is coming back from injury. He's got to get his game speed back.
He had no desire to run up and down the court, as most big men don't. If you watch Zach
Saving
Edey,
it for conference play.
I mean, Zach Edey, they would almost have to dribble and make a couple of passes, just let him get in position last year. I'm just telling you, it was his defense. I'm not talking about his offense. I mean, he's 7-1.
He scored 18.
Yeah, and they lobbed it to him a couple of times. Yeah. I'm just saying on defense, Alabama took it to him.
Okay.
And if the Big East is scared of him, they should just put that tape in. Because just dribble at him, have another big guy over there that he's going to drop off on and let you basically put it in there from 2 feet.
Yeah, again, I didn't see the game Saturday, so all I did was read up on it. I just know the guy consistently has been really, really good.
One more college football thing to get to here, and then we will jump in to full college football in the next segment with the start of the playoffs this week and a lot more. After we tell you about a couple of our great sponsors, one of them is the folks at Rodney Scott Barbecue.
Hey, this holiday season, buy local. Our friends at Rodney Scott's. Couple of locations for you to stop by, pick up lunch or dinner. The Trustful location, the Homewood location, you can place your pre-order right now online. Go to RodneyScottsBBQ.com. Spatchcock turkeys, pit cooked, smoked over the hot coals for hours. Homemade southern sides and desserts. Support local this holiday season. Rodney Scott's Barbecue, locally owned and operated. They serve James Beard award-winning barbecue. Again, for lunch or dinner, 2 locations, Trustful and Homewood. For more information and to pre-order, RodneyScottsBBQ.com.
Your new Academy Sports and Outdoors is now open in Birmingham with the best sports equipment, outdoor gear, apparel, footwear, and brands you trust like Nike, Stanley, Brooks, Carhartt, Blackstone, Yeti, Titleist, Shimano, and more. 4610 U.S. Highway 280, the old Best Buy in the Target Shopping Center. It is Academy Sports and Outdoors, the brands you love, all at low everyday prices.
We'll talk about Army-Navy, the college football playoffs starting, more portal news, coaching contracts gone wild, all that coming up the rest of the show. We go to break here, though, with sad news. Some of you may have seen it over the weekend. Former Auburn chaplain for 2 decades, Chette Williams, passed away with an accident there, according to reports, at Lake Martin. According to reports, it sounded like maybe getting off of a boat at Kalijah's, hit his head on the dock, and drowned at age 61.
Yeah, I think that was what was in the Leah report there. And that is, death is difficult anytime. I just cannot imagine this time of year as well for his family. That is just awful.
Yeah, I don't know any of the details. I don't know how much you know, Dunaway, but was nobody around?
I don't know. I didn't see that in the report. I assume there were people around there.
I saw the report, and they recovered his body at roughly the same spot there. So, I don't know all the details either, Lance, but just awful, awful news.
The chaplain there for some of the most successful years in Auburn football history, changed so many lives with his mentorship in there. But Chette Williams, an Auburn great and really a great man from everybody you talk to, passing away at the age of 61. And our thoughts and prayers to his family, the Auburn family, and to the souls that he saved. We're back in a moment right here on the next round.
Follow Brownie on Twitter and Instagram at Ryan Brown Live.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
Hey, Lance Taylor from The Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
Hey, you. It's the holidays. Give cheer a lift. And at New Balance Birmingham, we got the gift. That holiday vibe? Find it inside. Come together at New Balance Birmingham on Highway 280, right next to Chick-fil-A. New Balance Birmingham, we got now.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemphill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemphill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemphill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemphill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
In some places, football is a sport. In Alabama, it's a fine art. New Life Art is proud to announce Daniel A. Moore's upcoming painting, Deuces Wild. This season, Bama is blessed with a pair of very talented deuces. The pair played a huge role on both sides of the ball in the Tide's amazing 41-34 victory over number 2 Georgia. Deuces Wild will portray the unbelievable game-winning 75-yard touchdown catch by deuce number 1, Ryan Williams, late in the fourth quarter. The Dogs' last chance drive was stopped by deuce number 2, Xavier Brown, as he made the game-saving interception in the end zone, which will be celebrated by a small artist's remark in the bottom margin of each print. Go to danielmooreart.com to see the artist's preliminary sketch and take advantage of special pre-publication pricing for Deuces Wild. Also available, The Legend, Daniel Moore's final tribute to Coach Nick Saban. Order now at danielmooreart.com.
Things fall apart. There's even a book about it, but that doesn't mean you have to break the bank to fix them. Ryan Brown here for the Next Round. Our friends at Mortgage Right have a new renovation option that will make repairs and other home improvements easy. If you've recently purchased a home and find yourself short on cash, or you're looking to buy a fixer-upper, Mortgage Right's renovation loan program can help you spruce up your space. Repairs can be made to your roof, plumbing, flooring, and more with the help of top-notch mortgage professionals. So get your fix by visiting mortgageright.com/TNR. And MLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
Here at the Next Round, we love our guests, especially our 2024 football regulars. Auburn, Alabama fans, we've got your guys. On Mondays at 9:25, we'll be joined by Alabama offensive lineman Tyler Booker, and Tuesdays at 9:25, we chat with Auburn quarterback Peyton Thorne. Join us and rep your team.
The beauty of the holiday is at the center of your table with the New York Butcher Shop. Their selection of USDA certified Angus prime rib roast, beef tenderloins, and fillets, as well as premium pork and lamb cuts, are the finest selections available in the market and are hand-cut just the way you want. With side dishes handmade by the professional chefs, your holiday meal is complete. Visit one of their 2 locations today in Cahaba Heights or off Highway 119 in Greystone. Place your order today. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well done service.
We continue on the next round. Tackle game day with a great taste of Coke Zero Sugar. Is it the best Coke ever? Try and decide.
Alex Scarborough deciding about Jalen Milroe, or Milroe deciding about Milroe. He writes for Bama 24/7, sending this out earlier. Even though you've heard Jalen Milroe say that he will play in the Relia Quest Bowl, Alex is reporting that multiple sources telling Bama 24/7 that the current expectation is that Milroe will announce his intention to go to the NFL shortly after the bowl game, that he wants to focus all of his attention and the conversation about him playing in the bowl game and finishing out the season there in Tuscaloosa. But according to Alex in 24/7 Sports, Jalen still plans on entering the NFL draft after the bowl game.
Well, I would assume that he's talked to different people. They've kind of felt it out, and he's maybe given a first-round grade. I pulled one mock draft. We did it last week on the air, and everybody knows that it's Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, and then who's that number 3? Well, some people believe it's Jalen Milroe. You believe somebody will fall in love with him based on measurables, which wouldn't be surprising.
Let's, though, talk about Milroe to the pros and 2 other names. You keep bringing up Quinn Ewers, but the big buzz over the weekend became Carson Beck. There are some believing now that he's going to come back, Brownie, to college, and maybe not Georgia, that he may come back and go to the highest bidder. That's some of the talk out there, that Beck, his stock has dropped a lot. We will all agree that, and he may feel like he needs another year of college to build that back up, and it may be somewhere else other than Georgia.
Well, I tell you what could accelerate that is if they go on a run in this playoff with his backup and perhaps win a national championship or play for a national championship. I mean, if you got a chance to see Stockton in that offense on the day-to-day and Georgia fans fall in love with him and maybe Georgia coaches fall in love with him, could that be enough to send back to the portal?
I would say the only way you fall in love with him if you win, make some noise, maybe win a national championship and, pull Ohio State with what we saw with Cardale Jones. I mean, maybe this ends up being good for Georgia. I don't know. I seriously doubt Carson Beck is going to play this season for Georgia. If I was Carson Beck or I was advising him, I would, just like Quinn Ewers and Jalen Milroe, I'd be like, why not make 7 figures, come back for another year?
If he comes back, if you're a Georgia fan, I think you'd want him. I felt like Carson Beck's problems was the entire roster, the unit didn't have the weapons. I mean, I watched the Chargers
I agree.
and the Bucs yesterday. Beast coming back from injury, and he's open all the time.
So is Brock Bowers. I mean, look, and those are the kind of guys that Kirby should be getting. I mean, he's missed on a lot of skill for whatever reason. It kind of reminds you a little bit of what goes on with Clemson. Like, you just don't have these dominant guys at the skill positions where you would think that they would have based on the way they recruit. If Carson Beck feels like he's been the fall guy, because I do agree with you. Like, if it feels different for Texas and Alabama than it does Georgia for me.
If I'm coming back, though, Brown, go ahead.
You were in the same stadium I was in. When Stockton came in, it was the cheer you get for the backup when the starter's struggling.
That's right. The fans did, but the players even looked juiced, almost like Kirby had given them, Carson's not playing. If we're going to go out there, we're going to do it all together.
That's right. Now
it fired them up. But he made some NFL throws even in that game.
He did, and he made a bad throw that could have cost him the game. But you were just talking about the fans. I don't know about the locker room, but you were talking about the fans. My only point was when he came in, that crowd got energized behind him like they were tired of seeing Carson Beck struggle. Yeah. And I don't know where Georgia fans as a whole fall on Carson Beck. I think it's a complicated relationship, though.
I would say this, that if you're coming back to build up your stock with the skill set, unless they've got something coming in or something recruited that I didn't see this year, I think you'd want to go somewhere you're going to put up some numbers, right? If you're Carson Beck, I don't know if that's like to an Ohio State or, to a would you, if you couldn't go to Texas because Arch is waiting there.
Ole Miss?
Nussmeier came back. I mean, Ole Miss. I mean, there's places you can go that's got an offensive quarterback. You can put up different numbers than the way Georgia traditionally puts up numbers, and that may be what you need to increase your stock again.
Yeah, and again, I said this at some point last week. the Georgia fan, like pure talent-wise, Carson Beck's got more talent than Stetson Bennett. I don't even think it's close, but the Georgia fan loved the fact that Stetson Bennett had all of these intangibles. And you thought you would maybe get some of the intangibles with this great skill set from Carson Beck, and I agree with you. I think a lot of this is the offensive line wasn't nearly as dominant as we thought it would be. They didn't have skill around him, and by the way, the defense wasn't great this year.
Yeah. No, the defense took a step back, but there are a lot of people that
we're talking like they're trash.
I know. What are they, the 2 seed?
They got to buy in the playoffs that start this
Still
weekend.
might win the whole thing.
Yeah, they are. But a lot of people put this at the feet of Mike Bobo as well. Mike Bobo does not get out of this without criticism either. That it's his offense that just Lance is kind of basic and mid, and they don't scheme it up the way a Steve Sarkisian or a Lane Kiffin schemes it up.
And just in the second half of the SEC championship, it looked like he called better plays, and it looked like the receivers caught the ball better than they did for Carson Beck. They did it for Gunnar Stockton. They had not been doing it for Beck. Even in that game, they'd had some drops. Interesting to say that because all the way up last week when you kept bringing up Quinn Ewers not going pro, but not being at Texas and him being in the portal, I kept going, I just can't see Quinn Ewers not going pro. And if he does not go pro, surely he's got to stay at Texas. And you kept bringing it up, and I kept thinking, well, LT's right about this stuff a lot. And then it got to me. I was like, when I saw the first person start talking about Carson Beck, I was like, now Carson Beck's someone I can see not go pro and need to rebuild that stock. I still think Quinn goes pro.
I don't. I think Quinn's going to stay.
So you think Quinn and Beck or just Quinn?
I think Quinn and Beck are going to stay.
Wow.
Yeah. I do think Milroe's going to end up going because all it takes is one to fall in love. And I just don't see that Ewers or Beck are going to be first-round guys.
If I thought, and I don't know how much talk will go on among these, and, you've obviously got deadlines, but if I thought that Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck were staying, if I'm Milroe, that's probably all the more reason I go pro.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you tell me, you said Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward. You give me a name that you absolutely know would get drafted in front of Jalen Milroe.
After that, it can be Jalen Milroe.
Yeah. I think he's your third quarterback off the board, perhaps, which is probably going to put you somewhere in the teens or 20s with a good franchise that's winning right now, good payday.
Which is why if I'm Quinn Ewers, I stay in.
And actually, I think there might be 7 teams drafting. I think 4 need them immediately, but I think it could be up to 7 that will draft quarterbacks.
Is there anybody, do you think, in the 20s and 30s that would draft their future starter yet?
Oh, I think the Rams will.
The Rams will?
Yep. I do. I think the Rams will. I think the Seahawks will.
In the first round?
I don't know what it depends on what they get.
That's what I'm saying.
If they're in love with one of these guys.
What about the Rams and Quinn Ewers? How would you feel?
I'd feel okay.
Yeah. Rams and Jalen Milroe.
I'd feel better about Ewers, I think.
Yep.
Boy,
Rams and Carson Beck.
I'd feel okay. I wouldn't feel great about any of them.
Lance, you're saying you feel okay about a first-round quarterback draft. That's not where you want to be.
Yeah.
You want to feel great about that.
Well, I'd feel great if the Rams took him. I'd feel great because I actually trust Les Snead and his eye for talent.
Yeah, but that's my point. You're going to probably be third off the board if those two stay.
Our show being brought to you by our friends at Storm Restoration Roofing. These guys looking maybe for new homes. You got to love the one you're with, right? That home. You need a great roof, and that's what Greg from Pell City does for you. He'll get up there and give you a free, no-cost roof inspection, absolutely free. Storm Restoration Roofing, Greg gets up there with no obligation. All you have to do is look him up on Facebook, Greg from Pell City, or call that number, 542-3531, 542-3531. Locally owned for over 20 years, A-plus rated with the Better Business Bureau. He and his wife, Andrea, they own the company, and they do a great job there with roof replacements when the roof ages out. Also, storm damage, they're on the scene instantly to help you out, and so much more. Remember the number, 205-542-3531, and get that free no-cost roof inspection right now with no obligation. Greg from Pell City. Also, our friends at Johnston RV.
I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Always online at johnstonrvcenter.com. That's where you will find them, and you can find great deals. Travel trailers, as low as $145 a month. Fifth wheels, $45,000 of savings and more on fifth wheels right now at Johnston RV Center. You can always depend on that RV warranty forever, lifetime warranty on anything that you buy that is new or qualifying pre-owned at Johnston RV Center, I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Always online, johnstonrvcenter.com. Do we want to Ask Scott real quick. Do we need to give a heads up on what we're going to have to do in the next break here? Just go ahead and give everybody a heads up, Scott. No reason.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to restart this computer.
Yeah, we're going to have to launch a new stream. So if you're watching us right now, in about 15 minutes, you're going to lose the current stream you're on, and we'll relaunch a new stream. So that's why you always set your alert so you know when we're live.
Okay, so that's coming up at the top of the hour. Next break.
That's right, next break.
All right, we'll get back to some of the games in the future, including the playoffs. But I got to talk about what we saw this weekend. First, great call by Lance on Navy beating Army. And it was really never a contest, 31-13. And it felt, I guess, in hindsight, LT, that Navy made a choice a couple of weeks ago that our season is the Army-Navy game. So let's sit our quarterback, Blake Horvath, and get him healthy again and take our shot at beating Army. Because he didn't play the last couple of games. Their record's not what they wanted it to be at one point this season when they lost to Notre Dame. It sort of didn't end the way they wanted. But he came in and he put on a show.
He did. Horvath was great. I mean, 200 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 2 touchdowns through the air, which you typically don't see. It is a different Navy offense this year where they did throw the football a lot more. But everybody was talking about Captain America and Bryson Daly and what he was going to do. You know, what did he finish in the Heisman? Sixth,
I think.
But it was the Blake Horvath show, and they pretty much controlled that game wire to wire. And you know, it's unfortunate for Jeff Monken in Army just winning the American, 11 wins. And when you talk to all these people involved, they were like, it's just not the same season with a loss to Navy. And to get walked off the field like they did.
Yeah, I mean, what was their final record? What was Navy's final record?
9-3.
9-3. I think if I'm the Navy coach, I make the same decision. Like, I don't ever want to take games off. But if I'm the Navy coach and I'm 9-3 and I beat Army, I'm there for life.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if that's the job I enjoy, like, you know, when Coach Ken was there for so long, if that's the job I enjoy and want to keep it, I make the same decision that guy made.
The sad news for Army is they won the AAC, but they don't get the Commander-in-Chief trophy, losing to their rival, and they are going to a bowl game where Marshall had dropped out of playing in that bowl game, so there was some indecision of whether that was their last game or not. Now 5-7 La Tech has been pulled. They're having to get the players back together. Hey, unpack the pads.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You guys come back to campus. Let's practice really quick so we can play in Shreveport against Army in a bowl game. So they'll play one more time.
And they'll probably beat the holy hell out of Louisiana Tech, but what does it really mean?
Yeah.
You get to 12 wins. You know, Bryson.
First time in Army history if they get to 12.
Yeah, which would be cool. Bryson Daly throwing 3 interceptions. When is the last time you think an Army quarterback threw 3 picks?
Yeah, because he might get 5 attempts.
Yeah.
If you throw 3 picks.
Like, how about this? The last time they threw 3 picks in a season.
Yeah, they just don't throw a whole lot.
And Travis Hunter wins the Heisman. I think it was a lot closer than at least Jim Dunaway expected with Ashton Jeanty.
I told you, I said, watch out.
You did.
Very close. Travis Hunter wins it. He sets a college football record with 7 major postseason awards, including the Biletnikoff for Best Receiver, the Best DB Award, and now the Heisman Trophy. So really amazing season for Travis Hunter. Amazing for Jeanty. It was so close. But this Travis Hunter kid, out of his own pocket, flew 50 of his teammates and staff members to New York for the ceremony. Out of his own pocket.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, it shows you a couple of things. He is very generous for his young age, and it shows you he's making a hell of a lot of money. I was surprised, you know, there was referencing to his dad who has spent a lot of time in and out of jail. And when his dad was interviewed, he said, you know what, I'll be there for his wedding. I'll be there when he gets drafted. But I didn't feel the need to be there for this. He's flying 50 other people up, and the old man doesn't want to go?
I thought that was interesting, too. Yeah. He gave him a shout-out, and I've seen video today of his dad watching and was very emotional, obviously.
Yeah, look, I think Travis Hunter is going to be incredible at the next level. I do think that there was a media push for Travis Hunter a little bit.
He's so unique, man.
He is, but I just thought for what Jeanty meant to his team. Like, I saw Colorado almost beat Kansas State without Travis Hunter. Without Jeanty, I really think Boise's probably 8-4, 7-5, and now they're going to a college football playoff for the first time ever. I just haven't seen a running back this unique in decades.
Colorado becomes the 20th school with multiple Heisman Trophy winners now, 20 schools, including Alabama and Auburn in that list there. The show brought to you by our friends at Odie's. Odie's is a great place for lunch and dinner and music. And, of course, trivia coming up on Wednesday night.
Yeah, stop by one of the 2 locations, the original right there in Crestline, the newest location in Edgewood. Enjoy great food from Rodney Davis, from the award-winning wings, delicious burgers, great chili, all right there. Ice-cold beer buckets full of the Bud Light every Wednesday night at the Crestline location. We're doing the Odie's Team Trivia. Come out and join us. Live music on Friday and Saturday night. Just a great place to watch all of the bowl games and college football playoff right there at Odie's Tavern.
Yeah, and our friends at Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living. Nothing gets you in better shape right now than Leslie and her team at Way to Wellness. The website is aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. I maintained, despite a trip down to the coast and all the travel, my 5-pound weight loss. See what we can take off this week before I do my next overindulging coming up this weekend. You can find out what planforme.com, Way to Wellness, can do for you by going to the website. No contracts, no sign-up fees, and the first consultation is absolutely free. They've got injection therapy, meal replacement, and so much more. It's Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living. Go and check them out. The website, again, is planforme.com.
I do think, and this question is asked in the MyBookie.ag chat room, like, is there a difference between best player in the country and most valuable player in the country? You could argue either for Jeanty, but he is certainly, if you just went league MVP, Jeanty's going to be your MVP. They're in the playoffs, and they're not in the playoffs without him.
Yeah, and look, and again, Travis, and maybe this is well-deserved, gets the bump because he plays both ways.
And Hunter, I think, the better overall player of the 2.
Well, probably, again, because he plays multiple positions.
So,
if you're just talking about, like, Is Jenny a better running back than Hunter is receiver? Yes. Is Jeanty a better running back than Hunter is cornerback?
I don't think so.
I think so.
It doesn't seem like you ever factor in the competition, though, either. I mean, he played a schedule. Oregon was a great game. He was over 100 in that one.
Oh, he's almost 200 and 3 touchdowns. He slayed them.
Yeah, and then the rest of the schedule, not as challenging as
But again, how good of a quarterback did he have? Not very. How good of an offensive line? I don't know.
But we do love as sports fans seeing people do something nobody else has ever done. I'm not going to say nobody's ever done what Travis Hunter has, but not in my lifetime they haven't. Yeah. I mean, you got to go back to when Army and Navy were ruling the roost, and everybody was playing both ways.
It depends on what happens with Boise in this second-round game, but maybe Ashton Jeanty does something nobody's ever done.
Yeah, if he has a Vince Young moment, we can debate for years. Okay, we gave it to the wrong guy.
And I mean, like, if he gets them deep in the playoffs, you'll probably say that. You'll probably say Ashton Jeanty should have gotten.
I voted Jeanty 1. I voted Hunter 2. I thought it was really, really close. I just felt like Jeanty getting Boise State to the college football playoff was the difference for me.
Who'd you vote third? Cam Ward?
Dylan Gabriel. Very boring. Thought about Tyler Warren. Thought about Cam Scattaboo.
One person had Tyler Warren first.
That's a stretch.
Yeah,
but
I don't think I'd put him first.
If they're going to make any noise, it's going to be because of Tyler Warren.
Again, coming up at the top of the hour, we're going to have to launch a second stream. So an alert there, if you're watching us now, you will lose this stream at the top, and then we'll be back for 3 full hours after that today, as we're staying on until 1 o'clock. That's happening all week long as we get ready for Christmas week next week. So you get 4 full hours today through Friday, 4 full hours on Monday, most likely. And then we'll have a little Christmas break with all of you guys. And we appreciate you guys so much. So as you're watching us on this stream, go ahead and hit a thumbs up. And then when you come back on the other stream after the top of the hour, give us another thumbs up as well. Joel Klatt joins the show coming up at 10:30. And at the top of the hour, let me give it a shot, Brownie. Eddie Radosevich. Yep, so close.
Yeah.
He covers Oklahoma. He's going to talk to us about what Auburn is getting in Jackson Arnold and the rebuild going on in Norman. So that's coming up at the top of the hour. In that bonus hour today at 12:15, Zac Blackerby will be with us to talk about how Jackson Arnold fits in and everything else going on in the portal for the Auburn Football Tigers. One more thing here before we get to the top of the hour, being brought to you by our friends at New York Butcher Shop.
New York Butcher Shop, great place to go just to pick up a couple of steaks, some of the smash burgers. But this holiday season, if you want to plan your feast, get in, go see our friend Jim. 2 great locations at the New York Butcher Shop, the original Cahaba Heights, Highway 119 in Greystone, one-stop shop for not only the great dinners, they've got the huge deli sandwiches, great desserts, fine wines, rare quality, well-done service. It's the New York Butcher Shop.
Playoffs will start this week. We'll talk deep about them coming up a little bit later on. But if you'll give me cut number 2. We can't do the cuts right now? Okay, sorry. That's part of the problem in the back. Can't do the cuts right now. I was going to talk about the advantage of having home field this week. And then Brown touched on this, but there's more discussion going on. I can't wait to actually see the field. I have not had this confirmed yet from anyone, but there is talk of maybe not even having logos on the field. Like it may be like a college football playoff logo in the middle of the field, and not
instead of the historic Ohio
and not the Ohio State.
Why
logo.
is this?
So because we overthink everything we do, Lance. We absolutely overthink.
Did we not say this last week?
Everything
Elect
we do.
game day ops to be run by your game day ops. It's part of the reason you got home field. This is your reward.
Now, there's no confirmation that's the case yet, but that is the growing buzz that may be going on. But you brought up last week that is absolutely true. If you will explain to us what you said last week, people may have missed this.
Well, it came from Ross Bjork, who is the Ohio State athletics director. When he was asked about the game day atmosphere, he basically said, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, so I'm going to paraphrase here. He said, that a lot of that is going to be run by the college football playoff, some of the in-stadium music, and it's going to be out of our hands atmosphere-wise. And a lot of people were surprised by that. I was surprised by that. It's the way the NCAA does it. It's the way the NCAA does it. Like, even to the point, my understanding is, like, when Alabama and Auburn play these home games or these neutral site games in in Birmingham, like Auburn will this week, I think even that has some limitations. Like, they have to meet certain criteria just so it doesn't appear to be an Auburn home game.
That's fine. That's in Birmingham.
Yeah, I know.
I was at the Illinois-Alabama basketball game, and they played some Illinois intro videos.
And I only make that point to say that's the way the NCAA has always run. See, that's under the NCAA's purview right there. But this is not. This is not under the NCAA's purview. This is the college football playoff. It's an independent body. So you can do it any way you want to.
And we were playing and competing for home field
advantage. That's right. So why you wouldn't give a team home field advantage makes no sense to me. Is the game going to be played differently if the college football playoff logo's on midfield and the Ohio State? No. I mean, they didn't defend the Ohio State logo against Michigan. They're probably not going to worry about the college football playoff logo.
Yeah.
But it just is stupid. We've overthought everything.
I'll be really upset if there's Tennessee in one end zone and Ohio State in the other.
Me too.
That will not be home field advantage.
This is not a bowl game.
All right, we'll talk to Eddie about the Auburn pickup in the portal and what's going on in Norman, as maybe a little rebuild going on for them as well with Brent Venables and everything else in college football coming up on the other side. Show being brought to you by the great folks at Hydra Live. Had a chance to get boosted up before we went down to the floor of Bama.
Yeah, IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, compression therapy, now weight loss therapy. It is all under one roof. Make sure you mention the next round when you're in one of those great locations. 2 locations in Birmingham, Homewood, Highway 119 in Greystone, also a Tuscaloosa location. Mention next round, 20% off all the great services, and inquire about gift cards this holiday season. Tell them the next round sent you. Gift card, perfect stocking stuffer. Stay hydrated.